have a look at this beautiful day. Or should I say morning? Because I don't think the day is going to be quite like this. We're expecting a high of 18 degrees Celsius today, which isn't overly warm. Mind you, yesterday we were only meant to get to 19 and I went to a funeral yesterday. Have a look at that view, like seriously. Maybe I should just stand here and broadcast. Because it's pretty amazing, isn't it? The beach looks a long way away from here, but as you guys know, those of you who've come on walks with me in the past, it's just down the end of the road. I wonder if anyone's going to join me. I haven't gone live for ages. Thought to see who's around. I don't think I've got enough clothing on for this walk. Save Robbie and Ruth, hello. It's stunning, isn't it? Oh, seriously, sometimes I think I should just stand back there and go live. Yappy little city dogs. It's the downside of living in what we call a shack town in pardon me, we don't really call it a shack town, but in a beach place where people have shacks, we call them shacks. You guys probably say beach houses. Oh, shut up. Over summer, a lot of people who have shacks rent them out, and people from the city come to stay, and they bring their little yappy dogs with them. And it's so funny, like heading into summer, when the townies, as we call them, are starting to arrive, because sort of during the other seasons where it's not so busy down here, the beach dogs down this way are just happy, chilled. You might hear them once in a blue moon. They might see a possum and you might hear a bit of a and that's it. And then everyone's out on their decks as the summer's arriving, and suddenly you start hearing yappies, and it's like, oh fuck, here come the townies. Shouldn't complain, but it is a sign that the town folk have arrived. I adore you too, Robbie, and I've hardly been on the YouTubes, either watching or participating. Not for lack of wanting to. I've just had so much going on, which has been good, but I have all these big plans for YouTube. I'm going to try and fix this wobbly thing. I've got plans to do stuff with my channel, but I've got so much going on. I've just started a course which is, probably minimum of 10 hours a week study. Fantastic course, I'm loving it. And I'm also volunteering, and that's keeping me busy and looking for a job. Hey, check this out. What is in that mystery bag? Did you, Morgan? The mystery bag. I'm not touching it. Life does get busy, but also I guess I kind of had a self-imposed hiatus from YouTube and unsubscribed, not to you, Robbie, but to a heap of channels, and just kind of had a bit of a detox of sorts. And yeah, I've got things that I really want to do, but I've also started keto, and that's been keeping me really busy too. Even just emptying out all the things in my pantry I can't eat anymore, and fridge and freezer. Thank you for not touching that. Yeah, I know. I'm one of those people, if I had gloves and sand sanitizer, see, I'm on the beach and it's sand. Hand sanitizer, I would have probably touched it, because I'm a curious little critter. But without equipment. Thanks for ditching the podcast halfway through to join me. That makes me feel special. Yeah, it's good to come back refreshed and refocused, and And yeah, I mean, I've got, I had plans, like I really want to get back to cooking because I love it, and I'd love to do a fun sort of cooking channel, but because I've shifted to a keto diet, I don't know if I really want to do it anymore, because unless people are, you know, eating giant tubs of butter, they're not really going to enjoy what I'm making. I mean, I did think while I was emptying out my pantry, don't empty this stuff out, use it and cook it and just don't eat it. But I was going to make yummy food, and not eating it was just like, nah. So I'm not sure what to do. But I am also in the 2 weeks of getting my body into ketosis. So it's pretty strict what I'm doing at the moment, but things do get reintroduced a bit down the track. So I don't know. But it kind of sucks because, yeah, I mean, it's... unless people are doing keto, they probably aren't going to want to cook what I'm cooking. Or maybe they will, just not with, you know, lashings of butter and cream. I don't know. But I've only been doing it since Sunday. And what is it today? Wednesday. And I've already lost... oh, shit. I don't know what it is in pounds. But I've already lost just under 2 kilos. Probably most of it's fluid. But I'm already feeling way better. So that's kind of a shit. Oh, here we are. Quite a few folk on the beach today. I am completely underdressed. Not too much. Probably could have worn a warmer top. I've just got a little skirt and singlet and a little top over the top of that, but if the sun comes out, we'll be right. See you, Robbie. I love you, gorgeous. Chat soon. Make keto meals very entertaining. Well, I mean, I'd have to, I think. Hey, look, it's Barry. Bazza. For those of you who don't watch my beach walks, this is Barry, also known as Bazza. He's part of the soap opera that is my life and yours if you join me on beach walks. And then you'll see flying over the water, that's his girlfriend Shazza. And they have a very rocky relationship. Baz is always in the water, washing, preening. Look at him, you know, just trying to make himself look great for Shaz. And she's over there teasing him, like playing hard to get. And down here, there's a whole heap of female seagulls that would all love a boyfriend like Bazza. But Bazza's only got eyes for Shazza. Morgan, I was just watching BBC News, so pleased to watch this instead. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I like these compliments. I had fun with this week's episode of the podcast. Hey, Morgan and Ruth, if you think of topics you'd like me to do, let me know. I've got about 10 topics in the queue to do that have been suggested by listeners, but I've also got about it's well over 150 now topics I've researched. So if it's something that you suggested, I've already got notes for, even better. But the problem is the ones that I've got in the queue, well, it's not a problem, but some of my listeners have suggested like 3 or 4 different topics, and while I will get to them all eventually, I don't want each week to be saying, hey, thanks to the same person for suggesting another topic. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, I'm very careful with the topics that I don't do sort of similar things 2 weeks in a row. So I've got a heap of mechanical topics. So I've got, yeah, a lot of dudes have suggested things, which is awesome, but they're all into the cars and, you know, trucks and all that sort of shit. But I don't want to do, for my own amusement, I don't want to do like 6 weeks straight of mechanical things, if that makes sense. Or I don't want to do 6 weeks straight of food things. The one I've nearly finished writing for next week is really funny. Well, it's sad too. It's an interesting topic. But yeah, I'd love you groovers to suggest something, and it doesn't have to be anything. It's quite nice. It's just the three of us walking at the moment. A few surfers out, as you can probably see. Yeah, I mean, it can be silly things. Like one of the weeks, a topic I did that I hadn't even thought about doing was prosthetics. Like, this girl just said, okay, do one on prosthetic limbs. I was like, what the fuck? And then, of course, I instantly thought about Oscar Pistorius, and then started researching, and I found so many crimes committed by people with prosthetic limbs or using prosthetic limbs as weapons that I actually limited that episode to legs, I think. And I've still got, you know, prosthetic eyes, arms. I think I've even found a case of a prosthetic penis. Go figure. But yeah, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, because what I have discovered is pretty much any word that I have decided to research, I've found cases involving that thing. Like when my friend Katrina suggested ice, she was more down the, you know, murdering people with frozen food. And with my podcast today, if you listen to it, you'll hear of a few assaults of that nature. But I kind of extended it to ice, and then I extended it in the episode to snow, because it's very hard to just find cases about ice. But right at the start, there's that wacky story about the dudes that steal ice in Patagonia to sell to high-end bars. And weirdly, I was at a funeral yesterday, and one of the guys I was chatting to has been to Patagonia, and he said, oh, I've had glacial ice. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, we went to this bar, and the ice they put in our drinks was from a glacier. I was like, oh my God, I've just done a podcast with a story about a dude who steals ice and sells it to high-end bars in Patagonia. I mean, what are the odds? Happy Cubed! Happy Cubed, hello! It is a stunning day in Tassie-land. It's not hot today. It's not going to be hot today. 18 degrees Celsius, which, I don't know, I should by now be able to convert automatically into Fahrenheit, but I don't. All I remember is 0 Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And also, just over half a mile is a kilometre. That's it. I like our little gang going for a stroll. It's so stunning. Do you know one of my favourite things about this beach is, and I mean, I've got a shitload of favourite things, but one of my favourite things is the sand and the water are so pure here, so clean, that these reflections blow me away. And then some of you would know too from doing walks with me, when the waves are cresting, like these little ones, and they're about to break, the reflections in the water of the sky and clouds, like especially when you're out in it, you feel like you're swimming in glass, like liquid glass, because it's so clean. I don't know if you're seeing it. It's not huge swirls today. And the other thing that you guys would know if you walk with me frequently is how much I love kelp. So much kelp. It's wonderful to have you with me today, Happy Cubed. He's causing global warming with those cocktails. I hope he dropped you as a friend. Well, I actually told him about my that story in the podcast episode and how the global warming critics have used it as an opportunity to say there's no such thing as global warming, it's those fucking ice thieves. That's why that glacier's disappearing at half a mile a year. It wouldn't be helping. I think stealing great big chunks of glaciers would be causing a few issues, in addition to the global warming issues. It was a fun one to research. So, yeah, have a think about topics. You can pop them underneath, like even this week's episode or whatever. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be anything out there. You don't have to ponder it, because I guarantee you I'll find something connected. Or if I have to embellish the episode a little bit to include it, I will. Even just the first thing you look at right now, that could be a subject. But I've got so many episodes partly written, or at least I've got so many episodes with enough cases listed to do an episode that I really feel like I should start doing 2 a week, because I've probably got over 2 years worth of episodes banked up now. The order is flexible. Like I said, I don't want to do 8 episodes in a row that are all about food, for example. Bazza. I've already done an episode on birds, and Bazza got mentioned in it. Morgan, I do a lot of Googling, talking and listening to Mel. Mel and I need to do some more lives. Thank you so much again, Morgan, for your comment under our live the other day. Morning. It meant a lot because, Mel's had a bit of a shitty time on the tubes of late, and just paring everything back to having fun and being silly. So I'm going to do some research and see if I can find a company that will let us do reviews of their products, and send them to each of us, and we can do a review together. Everybody's shuffling. Go Bazza go. Go Bazza go. This is actually Shazza. Bazza's up there still. Shaz is doing some dancing. She's practicing her dance moves. Check her out. You're American, so every other word you have to Google. That live was absolutely hilarious. It was fun, wasn't it? And yeah, soon there'll be an opportunity for Mel to do a live that I'd like to be a witness to as well, of a similar nature. Some things are heading her way today, so that could be a bit of fun. Do we use a lot of words that you guys don't understand, or because it's interesting? I obviously grew up in Australia, but we had a lot of American TV growing up and not much else. No, that's not true. We had a lot of English TV as well, or British. But when I went to the States as an exchange student, there were a couple of things that I used to say that would have my friends in stitches, and then they would actually say it again. Say it again. Now this here, this is Dazza. This is Darren. Now Darren's fairly new to the beach. Randy's a good shopper. More slang that's different. Yeah, and also Dazza, swimming against the tide. Go Dazza, go. Dazza's new to the area, so expect a bit of tension between Bazza, Shazza and Dazza in future. Actually, the water's quite warm. I'm not going to go for a swim right now, but the water is not that cold. We've had some really hot weather lately, so the water temperature's stayed up, which is good. 3 words for toilet. Yeah, loo, dunny, bog. There's 3 off the top of my head. I say loo mostly. I'm off to the loo, but that's very English. British English. But the more sort of bogan Aussies, what you guys would call rednecks, they go more down the dunny and the bog road. I mean, that's the thing, we've got lots of slang, but there's also there's slang that some Aussies use that I wouldn't, and some I use that they go, oh, how twee. Well, they don't say twee, but it is. You know what I mean? But the other thing that's weird too is that we say things that have multiple meanings. And it makes sense when you're putting them in a sentence which meaning it is, but or we add a word to clarify the difference. So like in America, when you guys are pissed, as in angry, if you're pissed in Australia, you're drunk. If you're angry in Australia, you're pissed off. Dunny's new. Hey, that's okay, Happy Cubes. I like our little strolls of a few people, and it's, you know, I'm not one of those people that needs 80,000 people watching me to feel like I'm worthwhile. I've never gone live and had no one, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens one day, that I just walk along the beach and get back to the house and it's like no views. I'll be like, wow, I've just talked to myself for an hour. That's awesome. Now this is Kazza. Kazza's also new to the area. She's innocent and sweet, and hopefully Dazza and Bazza won't spot Kazza, because she's the cutie of the beach. We don't want to get her caught up in a love quadrangle. She's giving me a bit of attitude. What's up? What are you shitty about? You're like biscuit this morning. Isn't she cute? I think I've got a new friend. See, this is the thing. Even if no one joined me on the... Uh-oh. Kazza's a bit territorial. And there's a few more up the road. There's Gazza. I can see Gazza. I don't know the others. We might have to call them Razza and Tazza, perhaps. How can you tell the difference of the gulls' colour? Absolutely no. I can't tell the difference at all. I just name them as I see them and make up little stories about them. But Bazza and Shazza have been, permanent fixtures in my lives on the beach for a very long time. So usually the first seagull I spot is always Bazza, and then just coincidentally there's always some other seagull flitting around being a bit of a tart, and it just makes sense that that's Shazza. But all these other ones, they're new. Dazza, Kazza, they've only just been brought into the show today. There's a dog chasing a seagull down there. But, you can tell the males from the females, and I'm not going to get it the right way, I'm sure, but when you look at their eyes, they've got two different types of eyes. Some of them have just got like a black or very dark eye, like an iris. The iris is dark, and they are either male or female, and then the other ones have got red and white eyes. So they've got white mainly with a red circle, and they're male or female, but I can't remember which is which. Usually with birds, the really pretty colourful ones are the dudes, and the really plain frumpy brown ones are the girls. It's quite strange. There's some nice waves happening now. There's a really good boogie boarding wave. Well, there's two actually coming in right now. They don't look that big, but trust me, you get on those little waves and they bring you right into the shore. Maybe the second one would have, the first one wouldn't have, but you totally thought I knew all these birds. Look, I do know them. They are definitely part of this community I live in. But I haven't had them over for dinner, and they haven't been to, I haven't been to their houses or anything like that. We're not like best mates. So off in the distance, I'll zoom in a little bit. There's... Oh, I can't. Oh, here we go. So over in the distance, you will see a mountain with a bit of cloud on top of it. That's Mount Wellington. And then Hobart, which is the capital of Tasmania, is at the base of that mountain, but also on the edge of a huge harbour. It's one of the deepest harbours in the world. And it's a full-on working port, but sort of Tasmanian style, so it's not overly industrialised. There's a lot of, you know, pleasure boats as well, but it's a really pretty city. And then it's quite a stunning view at the moment with the sun up on the bluff and birds flying around, and life's pretty good, hey? Smart ass, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a bullshitter, I just have a vivid imagination, right? So what is new, everyone? I feel strange because every time I go live, I seem to have just been to or about to go to a funeral, and I went to one yesterday. But as all funerals are, this one was lovely because, well, it was actually a lovely funeral. I mean, he was a lovely man, so it made sense that his funeral would be lovely. He got dealt a shitty card too, and his son is a friend of mine who's married to one of my oldest school friends, so that's a connection. But they live in New Zealand, so it was so lovely to see them. And, you know, there are a lot of reunions. Funerals bring people back together, and so it was actually really lovely. And then after that, I went to my nephew, went to visit my nephew because it was his 21st birthday yesterday. So I went from farewelling a man in his 70s to having a wee party with a 21-year-old nephew, Jock, who's an adorable human being. So that was a day. I don't know anyone who gave birth yesterday, but that really would have been the ultimate trilogy of events, right? Sorry about your loss. Funerals are definitely at least reunions. Oh, thank you. It wasn't really... Ewan was a beautiful man. I said to his wife yesterday, Pip, I loved him because he was always interested in people. And, you know, I used to go to a lot of things at Tam and Mark's, and he would be at it, and he wouldn't just say, "Hey, Tor, how you doing?" He'd, you know, "What are you up to?" And I was reading this the other day about your brother or whatever it was. And then he'd remember stuff. So, like, the next time you saw him, he'd go, "Hey, what happened with that house you were going to buy?" Or... You know, like, he was just one of those involved, interested, passionate people who was always a joy to see him. So, but I mean, you know, obviously I was really there to support Mark losing his dad, and Tam losing her father-in-law, and Pip losing her husband. But, you know, I mean, they're people that have been in my life, or Tam and her family have been in my life since I was in primary school, so... We're all very close, but it was so nice to see her and Mark, because last year they came home to see Ewan, and I was at a conference and I didn't get to catch up with them, which was awful. You know, booth is when work gets in the way of catching up with really old friends that live far, far away. So it was nice. It was nice to see them and to be there to support them. Lady Pegasus and Just Me, hello! Double trouble. And it looks like we've lost Ruth and a few other folk along the way. Hey Groovers, we're having a very chilled out little walk. I'm actually going to start heading back because I've got quite a... I'm not going to end the live, but I just don't want to walk too far down the beach because it'll be like an hour and I'll get home and go, oh my God. I've got about 5 phone calls to make. I'm trying to find a job at the moment and studying and doing all sorts of stuff, including getting my taxes sorted out. It's not bad because the tax department owes me money. I learned that a few years ago. it's not cool to not get your taxes in on time, but if you owe money, they'll go after you. But if they owe you money, they just go, oh, well, whenever. And they don't owe me a lot either, so I'd be a tiny little blip on their radar at the moment. But I need to get it done because I'm updating the thermostat on the heating I've got in the house. I'm going over to the Google Nest system because the thermostat that came with it is clunky and painful, and I used to be able to turn my heating on remotely on my phone, and then the thermostat completely disappeared from the app. And I had a friend of mine house sitting the other day, and luckily the weather was really warm, but when I sort of explained to her how to turn the heating on, it was, you know, I was watching her go cross-eyed. So I just pulled a couple of heaters out and said, hey, if you need warmth, use these. But she didn't need them. But yeah, so I'm spending quite a bit of money on putting a new thermostat in, but I just think it's a good investment because, you know, if I decide to travel for a year and put tenants in my house, it means they're going to be able to, you know, use the heating really easily. And I've got a little Google Nest Mini, and they all speak to each other, so it just makes sense to do that. Hi, Amber. How are you? It is beautiful, isn't it? Ruth's still walking. Trouble, you're an angel. You are not just me, and that's why I love you. I haven't spoken to you for ages, though, gorgeous. It is a party now. Yeah, so we're in Tassie, Amber, and I'm really impressed that you've noted that, though, because the beach mountain thing is quite unusual, I guess. And also, if we could actually see Hobart. Hobart's an unusual city, and then it's got this big mountain which is off in the distance, sort of partly buried in cloud. That's Mount Wellington. Hobart's at the base of that, but it's also sitting on a harbour, and there aren't many cities in the world, weirdly, that are at the foot of a mountain on a harbour. So Osaka in Japan, Seattle, Vancouver is I always get confused. I can't remember my travels through Canada. I think I must have been stoned all the time. I think it's Vancouver that's got the mountain and then the big harbour. Cape Town in South Africa, but it's unusual. But Tassie, the island that we're on, is very hilly and mountainous, and also being a small island surrounded by a lot of beautiful beaches. Although I'm very biased. I think my beach, it's mine. It's all mine. I think this beach is the most beautiful one in Tassie. And that's a massive call, because if you want to Google Wineglass Bay, Tasmania, holy shit, it's stunning. But the difference is this is accessible easily, whereas Wineglass Bay you can only get to it by foot or by boat. And the hike in, as delightful as it is, the hike out, you pretty much hike over a mountain to get back out. And obviously, you know, I don't have a boat. Not everyone's got a boat to get into Wineglass Bay. So, but also this beach is pretty close to the city. So if if you work in the city, it's a 35-40 minute commute. Now the sun's coming out, the sea's looking a lot greener. And from the sky right now, the sea would look almost turquoise. If you want to send me a Facebook request, I've got lots of photos of Tassie on my Facebook, and used to on my Instagram, but I'm a bit more obsessed with my cat's Instagram page these days. But it's a very pretty place, very clean air, very clean water. We were at a concert a couple of weeks ago, and all these Aussie bands, and the lead singer of my favourite band that played that day is a guy called Mark Seymour from a band called Hunters and Collectors, and he was like gushing about Tassie. He said, you guys do realise that you live in one of the most pristine places in the world and how lucky you are. And we're all very aware of how lucky we are. Well, not all of us. Most of us. Some people complain about it all the time. It's like, guys, go and live in a developing country for 3 months and then come back and see if you complain about Tassie anymore, because I guarantee you won't. You won't. So my house is up on that hill, but you can't actually see it from here. If we walked further along the beach, there is a small portion of beach where you can see my house, but I'm up there on the hill, and I have this view. It sucks. I want to build a massive Besser brick wall in front of my house and paint a mural of a beach on it, because I'm sick of looking at this beach. No, I'm not. I love it every day. Every day. And it's different every day. Here's this vocal little seagull again. She's got a lot to talk about. This is Kaza for Just Me and Lady Pegasus, who just joined. Oh, hang on, chat. Just Me, hang on, my halo's choking me again. Hey, we've all got halos on angles. Yeah, Vancouver, correct. Thank you. You love how far the water comes up and it's so shallow. Yeah, and it's actually, the whole beach is really shallow, as in out in the water. So like where that wave is forming at the moment, I wouldn't even be at waist depth there. Like the second one, I mean, like or maybe I would be at waist depth, but not much more than that. You've got to go out a really long way to get over your head, which is great because it's a really cool surf beach and it's safe. Shallow beaches are really safe, but also it means the water gets really warm, and it's a perfect beach to teach little kids how to surf and boogie board and stuff like that, because it's not super deep. I mean, there's a couple of rips, but they carry you essentially to the bluff as well. And I mean, I've heard of one person, I've been down here for 5.5 years, I've heard of one person who's been caught in a rip, and it was when they were a kid on a school camp. So it's a very safe beach. Up the other end though, I mean, people have drowned here, but up the other end, and you can't really see it because there's a bit of sea mist, but Carlton River, that is actually a tidal river, so there's a lot of undertows and underwater tornadoes almost. If you sort of picture it, not a tornado, what are they called? No, it is a tornado. What's the thing that, in The Wizard of Oz, that was a tornado, right? So they're like a tornado but underwater, like a whirlpool or an eddy. And a few people have drowned up that end because you don't swim in tidal rivers. They're like, oh look, a lovely little river, let's swim in it. Yeah, don't. No. Alright. So, oops. I'll just sit here for a second before I head up the hill. How is Biscuit? Well, she is very well. She's losing weight. She's now below 7.5 kilos, and she's going to be a great cat in winter. She gets all snuggly and smoochy when it's cold, and all fluffed up, like her coat gets all fluffy, and she's great. She's hilarious. She makes me laugh every day. She's a bit of a madam. She's bossy. But, you know, I'm getting used to having a cat in the house, and she's a very independent woman. She does her own thing and I do mine. I mean, we have playtime. She loves playtime. She's very good at telling me what she wants, which is great. So I'm not pissing her off all the time by doing whatever she doesn't want me to do. She's cool. She's one of the best housemates I've ever had. She's probably the best, actually. Lady Pegasus has been busy since your birthday. Yes. Oh, you're 60 next birthday. Did you get my... We've been on Facebook communicating about your birthday, I'm pretty sure. Have we not? You get your seniors card. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring on all the discounts. Are there fires there? There's no fires in Tassie at the moment that are not contained. We had a really hot day the other day, and it was 41 degrees Celsius, which for Tassie feels like 45, 46 degrees Celsius in other parts of the country. And if you Google temperature conversion, I can't remember what it is in Fahrenheit, but essentially it was really hot, and a really horrible wind, and it was just like, oh, today is ripe for a bushfire, but we were really lucky. So, I mean, Australia is still on fire, but where I am at the moment, it's all pretty good, Amber. And we had a lot of smoke over Tassie because we had fires on the island, but also from the mainland a couple of lives ago that with me on the beach. The smoke in one of them was just getting thicker and thicker. It was pretty full on. But so far so good for Tassie, but touch wood, you know, it's February, there's still a fair bit of summer left, although we've had a very mild summer. We've had some really lovely days, but we haven't had a hot summer at all. Predictions of a long hot summer have not come true, but probably a good thing. The most of this island is incredibly dry and pretty much a tinderbox. I was in Victoria last week, and we were driving up to Mount Macedon from Torquay on the coast, and the friend that I was with, she was like, is Tassie as dry as this? And I was like, what are you talking about? This place is green. Like, Tassie's yellow. I couldn't believe how many green trees there were in Victoria, and they're like, it's dry, we're in drought. And they are. I'm not downplaying it, but it looked very green. You know, we were sitting in gardens that had lawns. You'd be hard pressed to find a garden in Tassie at the moment that has lawn, unless they've got a really good watering system and they're not on tank water. I think I've barely got 3 blades of green grass in my block at the moment. The only green things I've really got on my block are succulents and a couple of little trees. That's it. It is a rough view, Morgan. It's a shit view. Lady Pegasus has mountains at the front and then saltwater lakes at the back. Beautiful. Morgan, our water's way too cold. I don't know how people go in. Mostly it's kite surfing and windsurfing. Yeah, people are down here all year round. I mean, we've all got wetsuits. I wear a wetsuit in winter, but it's not like an Antarctic wetsuit. Like, it's a 5mm, which is still, I mean, it's thick, but it's not the thickest wetsuit you can have. But, you know, we all get rid of our wetsuits before it's really warm enough to not wear a wetsuit and just get used to it. There are people that swim naked on this beach every morning at 8 a.m. every day of the year. Every day of the year. And that's brave. I'm a beach girl and I love being in the water, but I also don't like being so cold that my entire body is purple. Just got a notification on the latest update of the coronavirus. Now they're saying 427 dead. I reckon that figure's way bigger, but you know, maybe it's not. But the other day when they declared it a global pandemic, I don't know what it has to be for it to be considered a pandemic, but I thought, ignorantly probably, that you'd need, you know, fairly significant amount of deaths. I just got a message from Being there. I don't know if I can message her back. I can, hang on. I'll just say, I'm live, come say hi. Hopefully I am still live. I haven't. I've got to stroll back. Is Biscuit still plotting my murder? No, she never has been. That's just a cat thing, isn't it? Cat cliche. I mean, she did have a couple of days where she switched into predator mode and I was her prey. And that's just an instinct of theirs. Like, I chatted to my friend who's a vet and she's like, they're predators. Just have a toy on hand that you can throw at her or distract her with. It was like, okay, so now I've got a little fishing rod toy next to my bed. Because one of the times she was on my bed and wouldn't let me get onto the bed or in it. She was like defending it like it was her castle. And the other time we were out on the deck and I had nothing nearby to actually distract her with. So yeah, unfortunately that's just, if they go into predator mode and you're what they're seeing and you're moving, you're prey. And they're not in I better not attack that person. That person's actually the human that feeds me. They're just like, that's a thing that's moving and I'm going to kill it. But no, we've only had two days where I've been her prey. And now I've got crap all over my house. It bothers me because I like my house to be neat and tidy. But I've got all these bits of rolled up paper and shit nearby in case she goes into predator mode. Lady Pegasus, my son took me to see Bombshell. Oh, I haven't even heard of it. In Gold Class, a really good movie. And yesterday you saw Mercy in Gold Class. Wow, you're checking out the movies. I'm reading an interesting book at the moment where there's a guy who's been told he's only got a day to live, or, you know, a very short amount of time to live, and he's doing deals with the devil to remove things from the planet to get another day of life. It's a great book. It's called What If Cats Disappeared from the World, or from the Earth, and I think it's Earth or World. Japanese author. It's fantastic, but one of the things that disappears is movies. So you'd be screwed, Lady P. You wouldn't be going off to Gold Class every week, would you? Biscuit is thriving. Yeah, the fires in New South Wales and Canberra are pretty bad. 46 degrees is 106 Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot. Oh, 41 is 106. Yeah. But here, 41 feels like 46 because we're usually at about 5 degrees in the summer months to our temperature to explain to the mainlanders because we're even closer to Antarctica. We have a very bitey sun. People picture Tasmania as wet and cold, and it's actually hot and dry a lot of the time. Well, no, not hot, but it's dry. And yeah, our temperatures, the sun here is very bitey. Ruth, the nearest sea to me is all mud flats that stink, covered in little black bugs and really pretty sea wader birds. I can picture that beautifully. You're very descriptive, Ruth. I love it. Just me. So maybe that's what it is, Tanny. It's the 25% death rate. So like when you get it, if you've got a 25% chance of dying, maybe that's why it's a pandemic. Happy's back. Happy Cubed. It is scary. I'm joking about Biscuit's plot orchestra. Oh, I know, Tanny, I know. I was just defending my little fat fucker of a cat. I do have a scrunchie to distract Biscuit. Thanks, Randy. That is actually, that horrible G-string is actually in her basket of toys. She does like attacking it, and because it's elasticized, you know, like I can pull it and she can be at one end of her play area and I'm at the other, and they're not going to let go of it, and it doesn't actually hurt her. The lace softens the blow. Gold Class, Morgan, is like fancy pants cinema, so you've got these big leather reclining armchairs and they deliver you food and alcohol. And they used to have blankets, but they stopped giving people blankets because people were getting it on under the blanket, and they're like, yeah, we've got to get rid of the blankets. Biscuit does make my life happy. China isn't happy. We've stopped flights from China coming into Australia. Well, you know, when the news of the coronavirus broke a couple of weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago, or was it only 2? Like, it was pretty recently. My first thought was, don't let anyone leave Wuhan. Like, lock down airports. If you're going to try and get rid of a virus, you've got to contain it. You know, there's people flying in from Wuhan into Australia as recently as yesterday that have got coronavirus. I think we've got, I listened to, I don't normally listen to the news in the morning because I find it depressing, but my little Google Nest, when I say good morning to it, it gives me the weather and the news headlines from BBC or ABC, and they were talking about it today, and I think they were saying, Lady Pegasus might jump on and Google and clarify, but I think they were saying that there's 14 confirmed cases in Australia, or 18, I can't remember. Much love for you too, Happy Cubed. Always love seeing you around, and it makes me feel special you pop in here because I know that you're quite often chattering away in big, well, not big, but bigger channels than mine. makes me feel good when people who are quite prolific on YouTube, and you know, I do enjoy seeing you out and about. I often don't say hi because, oh shit, I just got another update on my course. I've got something. Yeah, I don't always comment because quite often I'm listening and doing shit around the house, or I might be walking on the beach or whatever, but your name gets spoken by the creators. It makes me feel good when people abandon the larger channels and just come and say hi. So thanks, Happy Cubed. And you've been around from virtually the start with me, I think. You're all chatting cinemas now, and I haven't been to it. Someone said to me I've got to go and see a movie at the cinema the other day, and I was like, what? I can't remember what movie it was. What's showing at the moment other than the ones you've mentioned? Because someone said to me, you have to go and see this movie, it'll change your life. But like I said, I'm reading this book at the moment, and every day that this guy wants to extend his life by a day, he has to remove something from the world. And the most recent thing that got removed, actually not the most recent, I've moved on from it, but one of the things that gets removed, and I'm not ruining the book for you, I thoroughly recommend it, but movies. I've got the hiccups, and you know, the kind of burpy hiccups. So yeah, a world without movies. And the book is called What If Cats Disappeared from the Earth. I've just started this course, and it's in modules, and each module has like 4 sub-modules, and each week you do 2 from a module. So it takes like 2 weeks to do a module basically, and there's 10 modules, right? So it's a 20-week course, but there's so much to do in it, and I'm really loving it. I'm really thirsty for it because I've never actually, what I'm studying is learning and how people learn, and we're currently at the moment, the module I'm in is all about growth mindset versus fixed mindsets, and it's so fascinating. You know, they're already sort of assessing us. There's a lot of discussion groups, but they're already kind of assessing where we fit in the Edward de Bono style of thinking, and they've given me the black hat, which is sort of the critical thinking devil's avocado, as I call it, hat. And I was chatting to my sister about it yesterday, and then she's just handed me Edward de Bono's Thinking Hats book, so I'm going to read that. But I just can't get enough of this course. But anyway, I've just had 2 notifications that there are 2 assignments to do. They send you, it's on an online course, but we've got a physical study group too, because it's done out of libraries around the state, around the country actually. But for us, it's broken down into your state, and so there's physical discussion groups that are held at the library as well, and there's little assignments that are given to you along the way, and I think it's really clever because it makes you kind of stop and go, okay, I need to actually do this assignment. But I've just had 2 text messages about assignments just in the last 5-10 minutes, so I'm hoping that they're not due like by midday. So I hadn't factored in, I am going to do some study today, but I hadn't factored in assignments. But it's a fantastic course, and to actually be learning about learning is fantastic. (1917) no, it wasn't a war movie. I might have to get on a cinema website and see if the name jumps out at me, because I nearly put on Facebook last night, whoever recommended a movie that I must see, and if I don't see it I'm going to die. What the hell was the name of the movie? And I can't remember who told me about it. But I had someone very firmly telling me I had to go and see this movie. And usually when people tell me I have to go and see a movie, it puts me off seeing it. But whoever it was who told me I had to see this one, it's someone that doesn't tell me I have to see movies all the time, and I take them, and their advice is very valuable to me, but I can't remember who the fuck it was who told me about it. I'll find it and I'll let you know. No, I love it when you pop in Happy Cubed. Honestly, you make my day. You do. You all do. You all do. You guys and your cinemas, you keep missing my point. If this book that I'm reading came true, you wouldn't be having any of these conversations. Actually, you would be, because there would still be cinemas. It's just that when you went into them, you would look at a white wall. There would be no movies. He didn't get rid of cinemas, he just got rid of movies. Imagine that. Imagine if we all went to the cinema, bought our popcorn and our soda pop, neither of which I can have now. I'm doing this fucking keto thing, and just went and sat in a cinema and watched a white screen for an hour and a half. I mean, I'd go there still for the air conditioning on a hot summer's day. No, it's not Little Women either. We're avoiding your point because it sounds horrendous. Yeah. Well, seriously, if there are any readers listening right now, grab What If Cats Disappeared from the Earth. And Biscuit's read the header of the book, and I don't want to be a spoiler or anything like that, but she's okay with it. We've had a conversation. She's not freaking out, but I must admit, when I walked into the house, she's like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "Yeah, no, man. Don't worry though." I was surprised that she could read it, because I thought she was only fluent in Vietnamese. It's kind of blown me away she can read English. Oh, so much love. Thank you, Happy Cubed. Just Mercy is the correct name of one of the movies. Yeah, it's not ringing a bell for me. Holy shit, Happy Cubed, you're doing keto too. Are you loving it? I think for me, I'm only on day 4. I think for me, I was expecting the change to be the most difficult part. Like, a lot of people said to me that, just sort of adjusting your lifestyle is the hardest part. But I'm so excited about it. I don't want to end up becoming one of those crossfitter vegan. The jokes. How do you know if someone's does CrossFit? Don't worry, they'll tell you about it. And then that became the joke about vegans. I don't want to become a keto nutter, but for me personally, I'm really excited about it. I'm enjoying the food so far. The food's got so much flavour. I've tried diets in the past, which some have been successful, some haven't, but I haven't stuck to them because I found the food really bland and tasteless. And things like coffee, which makes dieting tolerable in my opinion, are allowed on keto. So, the food is delicious. Of everything I've made so far, oh no, not everything, nearly everything I've loved. I'm not a fan of what they call egg butter, and I will not be making that again. I found it very hard to stomach essentially 2 hard-boiled eggs mashed together with a shitload of butter, even though I put heaps of herbs and spices in it. I kept saying, just pretend it's like curried egg, and it's just not. It's like eating butter that has a little bit of an egg flavour in it. So I won't be doing that one again, but that's all part of it. Like, if the butter's melted, no problem, but just eating unmelted butter mixed with egg, the ratio of it, proportion, was crazy. Bridget Parker gave us homework to watch Don't Fuck With Cats before her next live stream. I actually did talk about Don't Fuck With Cats a few weeks ago in a live, and I was like, don't fuck with cats, as in don't watch it. It fucked me up big time. And I mean, I'm okay now, but I had a good week and a half or 2 weeks of trauma after watching it. It really fucked me over. And I used to be a defense lawyer. I've seen the most, graphic photos of crime scenes. I've been at crime scenes, with the corpse still lying on the ground and blood everywhere. Like, I've seen some pretty gory shit. And then I went through a phase of loving a website called rotten.com, which is just for people that just like looking at graphic shit, I guess. Partly because I was getting to the point where I'd look at a graphic photo with my work and just go, yeah, whatever, I've seen worse. And I tried to see if I'd been completely desensitized, but also Rotten.com had a death pool, which was really appealed to my black humour, where you would put bets on 10 people that you thought were going to die that year. Or Deadpool or Deathpool. I think it might have been Deathpool. I'm not confusing it with the TV series or movie or whatever Deadpool is. But it really fucked with me. I hated it. I hated it. I was kind of fascinated in the whole Facebook being used for good, not evil, and tracking this fucker down. I mean, he was using it for evil. But he was just the most despicable human being, and I've got a very vivid imagination. You know, I don't need to see things to know what the fuck's going on. So yeah, my recommendation is don't fuck with cats. Stay away from it. It's horrible. I'm glad that piece of shit's no longer, you know, in civilized society and walking the streets. But I've got so many criticisms of that show, and a lot of people watched it and went, oh, I just thought it was piss weak, but you've got to look a little bit deeper at it. You know, the whole premise of it is that Facebook essentially tracked him down because they were horrified at what he was posting on social media, and you've got all these people talking about how distressed they were by it, and then it's like, here, look at all the shit that distressed us. And I don't know, I don't think that's clever. I don't think it's clever. Even though it was pretty much inferences, you know what's going on, and you might not be looking at something, but you're listening to something. And I just thought, well, okay, let's have all these traumatized people saying they can't work anymore and they've got PTSD and all the rest of it, which motivated them all to track this fucker down. And here, let's show you all the shit that fucked them all up in the first place. I don't know. Didn't think it was clever. Lady Pegasus, I like my eggs mixed with mayonnaise for my egg sandwiches. Look, me too. I mean, I can't obviously have sandwiches anymore. Well, I can. I would put like mayonnaise. I'd do an egg sandwich using a lettuce leaf as my bread. I've eaten like that since I lived in Vietnam. That's the sort of stuff I love. But yeah, this particular breakfast one morning, it was butter and eggs, and it was very hard for me to stomach. Too early. I'm a kapha. If you're into Ayurvedic body types, I'm a kapha, and we should really only eat when we're hungry, which is another reason I love keto, because that's part of their philosophy. Eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full, basically. I agree. Happy cute. It's awful. Just me loves boiled eggs mashed on top of Vegemite toast with salt and pepper. Yeah, and I mean, me too, although I can't do the toast thing anymore. We're talking, Morgan likes the rotten Deadpool too. Oh my God, Morgan, we have to chat one day about I put some of the most horrible things on there. I put some really black shit on there that friends of mine would probably disown me if they knew. We need to have a private conversation. I wouldn't even do it on here because I'm sure I'd get fucking slammed if I owned up to some of the people I put on that bloody Deadpool. It was so much fun. And my breakfast, I was doing breakfast radio at the time. My breakfast radio co-host, who was such a square, he fucking loved it. And my God, I wouldn't hear the end of it if he got more in a year than I did. We played it for like 7 years. It was brilliant. 1,000 Ways to Die. I'll check that out. Although I don't watch commercial TV, but I'll see if I can get to that some other way, Lady Pegasus. Hi, being there. Grover. I'll be Grover. Hey, gorgeous. I hope you've been getting the little messages of love I've been sending you across the oceans, being there. And if you're free for a chat, it would be great to have a chat. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming in. Morgan, it's crazy. I knew all about the murder before watching and nothing about the cats. Yeah. Happy Cube. The thing that freaked me out the most is seeing him walking amongst people. Yeah, I know. Happy Cube was disgusting. Even the fact that he'd light a cigarette or be smoking a cigarette while he was doing the shit that he was doing bothered me. He was so disconnected. And then the prick says in one of his millions of interviews, because it was all about fame really for him at the end of the day, that, you know, I don't hate cats, I love them. Okay. I did love, one thing I did love about Don't Fuck With Cats, I did love that hardcore biker gang that go after people who hurt cats. I thought they were awesome. I did like that. There you go. Everything has a positive. I love the biker gang who hate people who hate cats. It was awesome. I couldn't believe it. These big tough bikers, and they're like, you don't fuck with cats. Great. Yeah, it's creepy. Beautiful being there. No, I love being called Grover. You crack me up. Grover was kind of a bit of a non-event of a character, though, like in Sesame Street and the Muppets. Grover didn't really get... Was Grover actually even in the Muppets? Did Grover make an appearance? Grover was kind of one of those characters. I never really understood Grover's point. You know, like Cookie Monster had a point, and Big Bird had a point, and Oscar the Grouch had a point. But what did Grover really do? Just kind of groved around. Lady Pigs, I'm way behind on YouTube, been too busy. Have you been watching the tennis too, Lady Pegasus? Hasn't it been superb? You almost died yesterday, just mate. Well, I was at a funeral yesterday. If you died yesterday, we could have just done a 2-for-1 special. Yeah, someone is enjoying that paddle. I'm not a fan of the paddle boarders. I mean, over here, you know, you've got the sharks, the surfers, all hanging out, chatting, doing their thing. Oh, there is a paddle boarder in the midst of them all, which pisses me off too. I'm not that competent enough of a surfer to surf around fuckers on paddle boards. If they catch the same wave on their paddle board, I'm a fan. But if they're going across the front of the water, which, like, you know, across the front of the wave, which is what they usually do, and you've got 10 surfers about to jump on that wave, fuck off, man. That guy's okay because he's surfed right into shore on his board. But this fucker over here, people like him will just will just paddle right through the middle of the surfers. And I'm not that good a surfer, so I spend more time on my boogie board now because I can catch nearly every wave, whereas surfing, I sit out there and freeze for an hour and maybe get half a good wave. But I don't boogie board in the midst of all of those guys. I'm respectful enough to stay down here. And not get caught up in it. Although last summer it was really fun. They had like a free-for-all day, and everyone observes the surf rules, whether you're on a boogie board or a surfboard or whatever, and they just threw everyone in together, and it was actually heaps of fun. So, like, you know, I was on my boogie board and these surfers were like challenging me to races, who got to shore first and all the rest of it. But in the middle of all of this chaos and fun, you know, these fuckers, oh, I might just come paddling along and go through and see what everyone's doing. No, fuck off. Fuck off. You know, kite surfers don't start jumping on waves where the surfers are. They come down here. Respect. I love the Australian Open too. I love it. It's my favourite one too. And I watch all of them as well. Lady Pegasus, but the Australian Open is my favourite. I love the Aussie sense of humour with the commentary. I think the players gush about Australia even when we're in the middle of a heat wave. They gush about Australia more than I think a lot of other Opens. I don't know if you've noticed that in the finals, or not even the finals, but just whenever they're being interviewed, but especially after the finals. But I think it's held in pretty high regard by the players too. But there's just that kind of Aussie sense of humour that goes with it. Like, it's, you know, professional, high-end sport event, but it's still got a lot of fun to it. So Tanny, I'm assuming, got bitten a huntsman between the plates. You do know Huntsman. Hi, Jude. I won't film you. I just had a little crab or something crawling on my leg. It's like you caught me playing with my fanula. How are you? You look good. It's my beautiful neighbour Jude. You know Huntsman can't kill you, just me. You nearly died of shock, I'm assuming. Being there, Lady Pegasus, the drama community reached out and pulled me out, then got all this silly drama. Oh, it's not worth it being there. It's not worth it. I had a thought when I was detoxing from YouTube, and that detox is still happening. Like, I'm going to go live and have some fun, and I'm going to go and see people that I enjoy watching, but it's really easy to just disconnect from YouTube. It's so easy. Like, I don't know. I think all this drama that's going on, not just the stuff with you being there, but everyone generally, it's going to run its course at some point, and I think it's more destructive than productive for the channel creators who are trying to build channels, who've got big visions for their channels. I think getting embroiled in drama month after month, year after year, you know, there's always going to be people who enjoy the drama and the gossip who are going to watch it, but you're not going to grow your channel. You're not going to attract new people. If every time a new subscriber goes in and they're still talking about some other YouTube creator they don't even know about, you know, how many times, how many weeks do you watch that shit? I don't know what that comment's about. Happy Q, tell us how you really feel. What was I bitching about? Oh, the paddleboard dude. I'm assuming it was the paddleboard dude. I know. There's not a lot of things I don't like in the world, but the things I don't like is so pathetic and trivial, like paddleboarders. But I'm very passionate about it. I just think they're knobs. Anyway, I shouldn't say that. I'll probably fall in love with a paddleboarder. I'll have to eat my words, or I'll say, I will always love you, except for when you're paddleboarding. When you're paddleboarding, you're a knob. I don't know. It's just more that there's two beaches around the corner from here that are protected by a series of little islands, and they're so perfect for paddleboarding that nearly everyone goes there to do it, except this fuckwit. I shouldn't say that. He or she's having a workout. Good on him, but it'll just be my karma. I'll fall in love with a paddleboard instructor, you watch. And don't get me wrong, I've done it myself and it bored the crap out of me, but I have done it. My opinion isn't based on any experience. Hey, look, he's catching a wave. Here we go. Well done. And I should be nice too. He hasn't actually gone up to where the surfers are. He's not the biggest knob on the beach. I am. He got dumped just then. That made me laugh. Okay, so just me. You've got to start filming your antics, especially your cooking. Cooking with just me. It'd be the best show ever. How to fucking burn everything. How to burn water. That's what you should call your cooking channel. Should be called How to Burn Water. Oh, I hate funnel webs too, Lady Pegasus, and trapdoors. Spiders, that is, for those of you not familiar with delightful spiders. But I pick spiders up and put them out of my house. Huntsman, I don't care. Like, they're fine. They're ugly, but they're fine. Yeah, it's a gorgeous view. It's a gorgeous view. And yeah, Lady Pegasus, you're right. I mean, I didn't want to be brash and say all of them love Australia and playing here, but yeah, they do. But then, you know, and people say, oh, they say that wherever they go, and it's like, no, they don't, because I watch the French Open and they say they've had a great time, but they never say this is our favourite Open or our favourite place to stay, or you know, favourite place to play. But the other thing is, a shitload of people come to Australia for the Australian Open, and a lot of Australians from interstate go to Melbourne for the Australian Open. Like, it draws people from all over the world. A bit like the Marilla Women's International in Tassie. It's incredible going to that, because there's just so many people that don't speak English, and you're like, fuck, you guys are hardcore tennis fans. Good to have you here. Mount Wellington. Hi, Denise. How you doing? Your brother is in this view. He is. Although he'd be back at school. I was at a funeral with yesterday with a friend of mine who's a teacher at the same school as your brother, and she's like, I can't go to the wake. I have to leave after the funeral because it's only our second day back at school. So I had to go and, hold the fort at the wake for some of our friends who had to go back to work. No, being there, it's a very confusing thing, and I can't get too invested in that stuff. I got caught up in my own YouTube dramas over a year ago, and I'm so glad to no longer be part of any of it. And I'm so glad too that I've unsubbed from anyone that's entertaining gossip and drama, because I don't know, for a while there I found the train wreck entertaining, and then it's like, cool, let's move on. Let's go back to some original content, and they're still crapping on about it. I'm like, I'm done. It means nothing. It makes me feel sick, the hours that people on YouTube spend bitching about other people. Like, I've started volunteering in a couple of different organisations, and it's the most rewarding, fulfilling thing to know that you've helped at least one person, or your community. It's incredible. And I just keep thinking, what if these fuckers just stopped talking about each other and just got offline and went and volunteered? Like, they're all online going, I wish the world was a happier place. Well, fucking make it one. Go out and contribute. Do something beneficial. And there's a lot of volunteering you can do from home. People that are stuck at home because of illness or disability, you can do so much online. There's so many charities and organisations looking for volunteers to do their online stuff. There are some that are purely online focused. And it's like, get online. I mean, you can do, for example, counselling for a single mother who might be struggling, for example. And it's not counselling, you don't have to get a counselling qualification to do it. You just chat to them like a companion of sorts. I mean, I don't have kids, so I wouldn't put my hand up for something like that. But it's basically, or they can call you. They can either Skype you, go on Messenger, or call. You can be home-based and volunteering. And I think, fuck, if some of these fuckers spend, I'm going to go live for 8 hours bitching about someone, spend 15 minutes bitching if you've got to get it off your chest and you think your subs deserve to know the latest update. Which is, oh, wow, more mud has been flung in this direction. But then get offline and do some volunteering. Do something constructive. So yeah, I don't used to enjoy the drama a little bit, and now I'm like, I don't really care about it because I just see a lot of people wasting time. And going to another funeral yesterday, it's like, life is fucking short. Is this really how you want to spend the bulk of it? I mean, get on YouTube and do something creative. Teach people how to do something. Have a laugh. Sit on a beach and chat about bullshit. Call each other Grover. Do whatever, Does anyone else feel that way, or is it just me? This fucking paddleboard has made me profound today, and I'm offloading a lot of grief. And not about my friend's father yesterday. Just the YouTube, the grief of the YouTube world. Alright, I'm going to wrap up shortly. Bye, Jasmine. Love you heaps. Yeah, take care and stay safe, like Lady Pegasus says. Well, being there, that's the issue, It is totally wrong or exaggerated. There are many critical thinkers on YouTube, so they hear one version and they run with it. I've seen it happening so many times. I've seen people watching a live that I've been in, going to another channel and saying they just said this and it's 100% bullshit. And then that other live and the chat will go, oh, that's fucked. And 6 months later, they're still talking about it and it never happened in the first place. It's pathetic. There's no point. It's going to go round and round and round and round in circles, and Makeup Mobster's one person who keeps saying, what do you want to come out of this? I don't think they want it to end, because if it does end, holy shit, they might actually have to start being original and doing something creative and coming up with their own content. And I think half of them live in fear of that because they haven't got it in them. Australia still holds the title for the best Olympics ever. But according to who? Well, no, I don't understand why you would defend yourself being there. And, you know, I've never had an issue with people on YouTube having a right of reply and getting to say what they need to say. I'm all for that. The problem is that people don't listen to it. They've already decided that you're, not you specifically, but whoever that person is that's being talked about, they've already decided that that person is X, and nothing's going to make them consider that that person might be Y. And you see it happening all the time. It's pointless. It's flogging a dead horse, you know, like, there's no point. I'd love to think we could all go on YouTube and open people's minds. And, you know, right now I'm studying growth mindset and fixed mindset. There's a little Qantas plane flying in at the moment. And the majority of people on YouTube are in fixed mindset. And they won't budge. And some of them are popular creators who get, you know, a significant enough number of people in their lives that if they say something is X, then all the chat thinks it is too. You don't see a lot of critical thinking in chat, and quite often if somebody with a growth mindset suggests an alternate version or says that didn't happen, you get blocked. You get silenced. They're not open to having their thoughts challenged. They're not open-minded enough to consider they might be wrong. You know, you see channels where someone's going, hang on, I was there, that's not what happened. Bang, they're blocked, they're timed out. It's just, it's pointless. You can't convince a mob. When there's a mob mentality, like, you just can't. You've either got to just get up on a little podium and give a speech and hope that someone listens and changes their mind, but you're never going to change the mob mentality, especially if you're in a chat of a channel trying to make them see the other side of the story. Not every channel blocks, and some channels are open to discussion, but the ones that are very firm on something and don't budge and think that they're right all the fucking time and never take accountability for when they get something wrong, they're the ones that I wanted to change their way of thinking, but there's no point. No point. Look at this beautiful view before I sign off. Let's end on a happy note. Here comes my future husband, Mr. Paddleboarder. I don't know if he's got a big bottom or if it's just his wetsuit makes it look big. Hamster. Friendship with a hamster, as in Robbie. Well, it is all Chris Watts' fault. I've said that for a long time too. Blame that fucker. Oh God, he's disgusting. Ugh. He brought us all together, which is cool. See you being there, I'm calling you. Answer your fucking phone. I mean, not right now, obviously, but let's talk soon. Happy Cube. The goal for most of these people is use word salad to nauseam. Absolutely. And you know, Happy Cubed, I know that you challenge people's ways of thinking and stuff, and it's fantastic. It's one of the reasons I adore you. It's probably one of the reasons we connected so early on when, you know, way back when. I still remember the first time you came into one of my lives. And, but I like that, you know, you're one of those people that's sort of out there with some home truths or challenging people. Or the other thing I really like about you in chat is when you positively acknowledge someone who admits that they fucked up, or, you know, who says, okay, I got that wrong. Like, I really like conversations where people are accountable and say, I fucked up, but I also like that people reinforce that that's a good thing and acknowledge it. You know, they should be acknowledged. It's an incredible thing, especially if it's someone that you don't actually like as a creator, to hear them admit they got something wrong, and then acknowledging it is even better. But the problem is, yeah, the fixed mindset of a lot of YouTube channels, I can't be fucked with it, and I just think they're time wasters and they could be making a difference. But I really do love the growth of some creators. I have enjoyed seeing people that do have a growth mindset grow because of it as well. And people that, you know, one person in particular who caused me a shitload of grief a year ago, I now actually enjoy when she's around because I've seen how much she's grown in a year. And she was a fucking nightmare and kind of made my life and a few other people's lives hell. Inadvertently. She wasn't deliberately trying to, but she just ended up throwing a shitload of people under the bus because she was after one person in particular. But
You know, she's grown so much in the last year, and I love it if I bump into her in a chat and I make a point of saying, you've come so far, I'm super proud of you. And I think that's another thing I like about you, Happy Cube, that you are very good at acknowledging people being decent people. But thanks everyone for joining me. Today, I've got a few calls this morning, ma'am. I don't know if you're still around. I've got a few worky related calls to make, and then I'll touch base. 9:30, I've got to go and eat some food. I've got to go eat some food. Yeah, exactly, Happy. The mob attacks you to try and silence you. Cold in Canada. Yeah, I'm going to let Morgan finish my podcast. Go over and see listen to my new podcast episode, everyone. Don't forget to hit the likes and subscribe. I want my little podcast to grow. It doesn't have to be the, global success, but I'm putting so much work into it. I want to try and get to 200 people by the end of June on YouTube. I've got quite a few subs on Apple, but I really want to get to 200 on YouTube by the end of June. So like and subscribe. I love all of you groovers. I will give you a call today, ma'am. I've got to chase up some work-related stuff, and I'm going to see what these friggin' assignments are too. If they're due today, I'm going to be spending a lot of time studying. I've also got a meeting in town later today with someone who's going to teach me how to do something very exciting. And it's not sexual. All right. Enjoy your days and evenings, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for witnessing love forming on the beach. That paddleboarder, I will pee my pants if I end up dating a paddleboarder. And yeah, love all of you guys, and we'll chat very, very soon. Especially you and I, ma'am. So take care, everyone. I can never work out how to end these things up here. Here we go. Look after each other. You're all awesome. Stay groovy.